ਡਾਕਟਰ ਅਲੀ ਕਨਾਨੀ ਆਰਥੋਡੋਂਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲਿਸਟ ਹਨ ਜੋ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਲਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਆਰਥੋਕੈਡ IQ ਦੇ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰ ਗਾਈਡਡ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਟੀਮਲ ਬ੍ਰੈਕਟ ਪਲੇਸਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਮਿਨੀ ਸਟੇਨਲੈਸ ਸਟੀਲ ਬ੍ਰੇਸਿਸ, ਗੋਲਡ ਬ੍ਰੇਸਿਸ, ਕਲੀਅਰ ਬ੍ਰੇਸਿਸ ਤੇ ਇਨਵਿਸਲਾਈਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਵੀ ਉਪਲਬਧ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਣਾ ਚਬਾਉਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਸਪੀਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਜਾਂ ਐਬਨੋਰਮਲ ਬਾਈਟਸ ਹਨ ਤਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਅਲੀ ਕਨਾਨੀ ਕੋਲ। ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿੰਗ ਬਿਊਟੀਫੁਲ ਸਮਾਈਲਸ, ਇਲਾਜ ਕਰਾਓ ਤੇ 에ਅਰ ਮਾਈਲਸ ਵੀ ਪਾਓ।
ਸੋ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ। ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟੈਗਰੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਨੇ ਆ, ਆਓ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਆ ਕੈਲੀ ਮੋਂਜਾਜ਼ੈਬ ਤੋਂ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਮਾਸਟਰ ਫੈਸਿਲੀਟੇਟਰ ਹਨ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਰ ਹਫਤੇ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਉੱਤੇ ਐਮਫਸਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਮਜ਼ਬੂਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। So today we'll be talking about on this particular topic how to align spirituality and sexuality. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harpreet.
Thanks once again. So previous episode we had talked about discernment and dignity, in which you had emphasized upon that these are the basic factors. If you are not having dignity and if you cannot discern the right from the wrong, then there'll be trouble in life. So Kelly, what do you feel harmonizing spiritual integrity with sexuality? What is the reality and what is that ideal life what one should have? Let's delve into this today in detail so that, as you said in the previous episode also, that this is the foundation. Families are breaking down today. Extramarital affairs and other all kind of issues which are coming in the families are really trading apart, and especially the brunt is on the children. Once we find them that people have been living for so long together and all of a sudden the spouse leaves, look at the impact which that person, husband or wife, is going to face. But what about the children? Because for them the entire life gets torpedoed. So why is it important and what is the seriousness of this issue in your eyes?
Well, you've said it. You've said the seriousness of the issue is that we're breaking down. There's societal breakdown because men and women are not harmonized when it comes to sexuality.
Right.
So we have a lot of distortions, and we come from a history of shame. And we need to recognize that sex is not in itself, of itself, shameful. It's what we do with it.
Right.
It's the choices that we make that move us away from our spiritual integrity. That's really the essence.
Okay.
When we are within a marriage and we're turning towards our partner, that is the proper and the use of sexuality that works. It brings harmony between the couple. But men are told that it's really not okay to feel sexual or to be wanting that, and women are told that they're not sexual either. It's not okay for them to be sexual. So everybody's shut down, and nobody knows what to do with their sexual impulse. Because we all have a sexual impulse. That's how we've been created. So we need to discover how to manage that within our relationship that brings harmony, not disconnect and breakdown.
Okay, so how to have that connection, as you said, of course, that's the basic purpose of marriage. One purpose is this: if there's no sexual impulse, the world will finish off. This is what we have seen. But now the question is that this connection which is happening, why is that disconnection? After all, when you have got married, you have the spouse, both of you are enjoying your life, everything is going fine. But then your sexual impulses start going out, and that is where the problems start, because you start hiding things, and then again that shame, guilt keeps on coming up and up and up, and ultimately a time comes when you just blurt out. So again, with your experience with the people, what are the basic disconnectors which, as you said, one you have mentioned about that people are not, like you are being, it's become a taboo. This issue is a taboo in the society right now. You are sexual, but you don't want to talk about, even between the husband and wife also, it's not opening up. So what are those disconnectors?
Well, that's just it. Husband and wife can't address this issue openly and honestly because there's so much shame and there's so much misunderstanding about it. We don't give ourselves permission to channel our energies towards one another in a way that supports each other.
Okay.
That brings contentment and happiness to one another. We have so much negativity around sexuality. So this is one paradigm that we need to shift, that sex is not a bad thing. It's a good thing when people are managing their energy properly. So we can think about sexual energy rather than just sex. So
Right.
everybody has this energy. The problem comes when we're influenced from the outside, and we
Okay.
allow that influence to affect us, and
Right.
that's how we act, rather than allowing what is natural
Okay.
within us to be guided by that internal
Okay.
prompting and make the right choice about it. Turn towards our spouse.
So when you talk about influence from outside, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's many, again, the sexual energy that's out there, Harpreet, is very materialistic.
Right.
And it degrades both men and women. That's really the energy that's out there.
Okay.
Women are looked upon as material sexual objects.
Right.
Instead of spiritual beings with much to contribute to the world.
Right.
And this is again where when we come back to the spiritual language and we see one another first
Right.
as spiritual beings.
Right.
So we recognize in our spouse their kindness, their courtesy, their steadfastness, their determination, their courage, their loyalty. When we're looking at each other with that eye,
Right.
that's the first thing. Then the physical connection is a natural outcome.
Right.
You know, because our love is flowing, we're seeing each other as spiritual beings, our love is flowing, and the physical connection comes as a natural
Right.
outcome of that.
Right.
You said, you know, it starts out well, but then we end up, because somehow the connection is becoming
It's lost,
flawed.
right?
Yeah,
And only that physical that connection is the only thing which becomes heavier on the mind, and that spiritual and emotional aspects just get to the sideline.
Right, because it's a very important aspect in a marriage.
Right.
This is one thing that we share with our spouse that we don't share with anyone else.
That's right.
Is our bodies.
Right.
And if we're not able to do that comfortably and regularly,
Right.
then it becomes a barrier. People, then we become shut down. To oppress the sex impulse has never worked, ever.
Right.
So if that part of our marriage is not working well, it becomes a really big issue in the marriage. I mean, marital therapists will tell you that sex and money are one of the two major issues in marital breakdown,
Right.
when they don't have harmony around those two issues, because they don't go away. You know,
Right.
there's something that we have to deal with our whole life through, and marriage is really the place that, you know, we need to find that harmony with
Right.
each other.
Okay, and here you talked about the outside influences. What about the media? What is being
Right.
projected? And as you said, women is being projected as a materialistic thing, you know, and when it is in the media also, and the way things are glorified. What is your opinion about it? How far the media has, what has been the role of the media, I would say, in kind of, you know, further disseminating this information and kind of, what is your opinion about this?
Well, I think, and I don't know what you think, but I think that the internet, I mean, we talk about media, internet is
social
one of
media.
really
Yeah.
the biggest, you know, changes that we've had. And it's, to me, a reflection of the spiritual condition of the world.
Right.
People are not aligned, and so the things that they're creating are from their lower selves, from their
Right.
lower nature. That's what they're focused on. And let's face it, because we're all sexual beings, we all want that connection. Sex sells. Sex sells, you know, I mean,
Right.
the pornography
Huge.
industry is
Yeah.
of the largest industry in the world.
Right.
It makes the most money.
Right.
More than any other films that ever exist. You know, there's and this is all underground. People do this, you know,
Right.
in the privacy of their home, and the onset of the internet has
Right.
made it more accessible for people to go down that path
Right.
and find themselves in trouble. So I think we're probably dealing with sex addiction
Right.
as an epidemic as we
Right.
never have before in
Absolutely.
the history of humanity, because
Right.
of the access that people have to
The internet.
to the internet.
That's
yeah.
right.
So it's a huge problem, and then people bring that back in. That's where they're getting their education, unfortunately, because as parents, we're still not yet
Right.
comfortable really dialoguing with our kids about sexuality and healthy sexual energy.
Right.
So they're getting their unfortunately, their education from the media.
That's right.
And then they're bringing that into relationship.
Right. And that's
And it degrades us spiritually. And so there's the cycle, right?
Okay.
That we're caught up in this cycle.
That's a very important point what you have touched, especially about the youth now, right now. What they're seeing in the society and what is being projected in the media, and especially the internet, that lower self which gets that feed from the internet. So a little bit about the youth also. What would be your recommendation? Because right now, it's, as you said, it's an epidemic. And youngsters as young as 10, 12 also, what we are hearing in the news, your mind gets just bogged down what is happening in the society. So in comparison to relating this to the spousal relationship, what do you feel? How can the youth also be told that your spiritual strength is what is going to hold you strong, you know, and it should not be weaned away by this, you know, thinking about sexuality only?
Yeah. Well, I think education is really key, and we need to start thinking about things differently.
And education in the schools?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think there's still too much red tape and too many issues that way. This is such a private issue, and it's an issue that is tied up in values. You can't teach sexuality education in a vacuum that way. And I think it's the parents' really true responsibility to educate their children in this way, because it has to do with, you know, children are naturally curious and they're going to want to ask questions, and we need to be approachable parents to be able to respond to those in a way that is not shaming, but is educational, and it helps them have a vision. So again, it's bringing in the light, you know, it's recognizing the darkness. You know, I have conversations with my children when they are ready for it, when I feel they're ready for it, that there is something called pornography, and it's not a good thing, because it creates darkness within our soul, and it doesn't set us up well for healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
So we have those discussions.
Yeah, that's a very important point you have raised, and after the break I would like to discuss in detail, because especially in our Indo-Canadian community also, what we find is that this topic is absolutely not at all talked in the families also. And why, as you said, you know, there needs to be a communication and need to talk at a right age. What is that right age and why it should be discussed? We'll talk about this after this break. नैना जी एक छोटी जी ब्रेक तो पहला जी गलबात हुई अज का जो विषय लैके आए हैं एक बहुत ही गंभीर विषय है घरां दे विच अज तरेड़ां पै रही ने क्योंकि सैक्शुअलिटी का जिहड़ा मुद्दा है इस दे बारे डिस्कशन नहीं होंदी परिवारां दे विच जिहड़ी सांझ हुंदी सी हसबैंड वाइफ दे विच हुण नज़र नहीं आ रही मर्द जो हन वो बाहर वाले पासे भज रहे ने इस दे नाल ही इन्होंने गल की कि स्पिरिचुअल सैगमेंट जिहड़ा क्योंकि असी सिर्फ औरत नूं एक वस्तु वजों वेखना शुरू कर दिता जिहड़ा एक स्पिरिचुअल एंगल सी कि दूसरे दे विच भी वेखना कि एक स्पिरिट एग्जिस्ट करदी है उसनूं असी नहीं समझ रहे जिस कारण बहुत सारियां समस्यावां आ रही ने सिंगल फैमिलीज़ दिन ब दिन वधियां जा रही ने ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਕੀ ਯੂਥ ਤੇ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ